So for this lesson, what we talked about was the expository essay, and more specifically, the thesis statements. So just wanted to go through it a little bit. The expository essay is a pretty big deal at the 9th grade level. You've written expository essays before, you may not have known it, but the test for the EOC that you'll have in April, a large percentage of the test goes to the essay that you'll be writing, which is the expository essay. And I had students go ahead and write this in their composition notebook. So make sure that you take this down. If you're watching this video, it's pretty important. Like I said, I'm going to make students actually go ahead and write this. So make sure that you do the same. So expository writing is just, it's a way to explain something. So it's not persuasive in that your main purpose is not trying to get somebody to do something. You're just explaining your stance. That's it. So like when you guys did the essay about whether or not a hero should be recognized, or if you're not a hero unless you're recognized, you're just explaining how you feel about it. You weren't trying to convince me that, this is the right way to do it and this is what I should do, to change my ways. That's persuasive. Expository is you're just explaining your thoughts. So an expository essay needs to be both logical and informative. So you have to be really clear and you're giving information. Pretty simple. And so please make sure that you write those down in your notes. All right, and so this is where we focused. I went ahead and I gave students a copy of the rubric, and we did some highlighting, so make sure that you have a copy of that, and I'll put that on Canvas as well. And go ahead, and the first thing you do is you need to highlight where it says focus. So highlight that in yellow, and color coding is pretty important. I'm a big color coder when it comes to this. So highlight focus in yellow, and then in order to get the 4, because the essay is scored on a 0 through 4 scale, it requires that you have a clear thesis statement. So for this slide, if you could just highlight and circle what I did, I'd appreciate it. So it needs to have a clear thesis statement, and all ideas are strongly related to the thesis in the specified topic. So you got to stay totally focused, and your thesis statement is going to drive that whole essay. So for 3, notice again, clear thesis statement. So that doesn't go away. That's a non-negotiable for getting a good score on the expository essay. And so circle that, please. And it says most ideas are related to the thesis and specified topic. So you might have added some extra information that really didn't belong there. So I mean, it's not the best score because you probably didn't need to add in the extra. The 2, however, is not considered passing. And so your thesis statement might be weak or unclear. And it says most ideas are generally related to the specified topic. So you're really kind of loose on your topics. You're just kind of talking. You're really not focused. And a 1, which is the lowest score, actually 0 is the lowest score if you leave it blank, but a 1 is missing or unclear or illogical. I mean, like we don't even know what you're talking about kind of thesis statement. Like where are you going with this? It says most ideas are generally related to this specified topic. So you may have added some pretty decent ideas, but because you didn't have your thesis statement, look at how it still puts you in that 1 category. So this is where we want to keep our focus. We want to keep our focus on the 4. If you go into the 3, hey, that's areas where we can improve upon. But 4 is where I'm going to try to get you guys to get going. We want to avoid all this business, this 2s and 1 stuff. Okay, so then I showed him a video from Schmoop, and it's just a little 4-minute video about thesis statements. So you are welcome to watch that. You can just type into Schmoop how to write a killer thesis statement. And in your composition notebook or your binder, or wherever you take notes for class, if you could please write down the following. So in order to classify as an expository, your essay must have or must explain or discuss the topic. It needs to include a thesis statement. Has to have evidence, has to have some sort of commentary that explains the evidence, and you have to have a conclusion. And the entire time needs to remain informative. You're not trying to convince anybody, you're just giving information. So please make sure that you've got those in there. So let's go to step 1. So our focus for today's lesson is about the thesis statement itself. So thesis statement, there are lots of different ways you can do this. I'm going to focus on this particular way of doing a thesis statement, and I'm going to ask that you just kind of humor me, and for the next few essays, we're going to focus on this type of a thesis statement, and then we can loosen up if we need to, but this is a pretty standard one. So thesis statement is basically a subject plus your reasons. Okay, so let me explain. So let's say you have an essay, it's about the importance of city parks. Okay, so here's an example of a thesis. Towns should have at least one park within walking distance of every citizen's home because parks encourage long-term health and a sense of community. Okay, so I know what this essay is going to be about. You're going to inform me why towns should have at least one park. So in the red, okay, notice I color code here. The red, your subject, towns should have at least one park within walking distance. And then your reasons. First reason, parks encourage long-term health. Second reason, a sense of community. Okay, so those are two big reasons. So again, thesis statement is your subject, in this case parks, and your reasons, health and community. So this is how clear your thesis statement should be. Your thesis statement should basically outline your essay for you. So your intro paragraph should have your thesis statement. And notice how this works. Okay, so there's your subject again, okay, but the parks. Now this first reason, that's in blue, parks should encourage long-term health, that should be your first body paragraph. A sense of community, which is in green, should be your second body paragraph. So as a reader, you're telling me in the bottom of your intro exactly what I should expect as far as the structure of your essay. So I'm expecting that, I don't know why I did that, I'm expecting that your first body paragraph will be about your first reason, and your second body paragraph should be about your second reason. I mean, that's just the structure of it. And I'm going to tell you, the first couple of essays we do this, I'm pretty cut and dry about that. I mean, it's kind of a non-negotiable, so just kind of be aware of it. And like I said, I mean, if as time goes on, we can loosen up. But for the first few essays, this is what we're going to kind of keep our focus. And then you have your conclusion at the end. All right, so let's look at some student introduction examples. So let's look at some good ones and some not so hot ones. Okay, so here we go. Although it is important to help others when possible, it is also essential to put oneself first in life. After all, we all have one life, and each person's main concern is his own choices in life. So the question is that a pretty decent intro and thesis or not so much? So overall, it's considered a very weak intro because there's no clear thesis statement. And without a thesis statement, it's going to have a weak paper. Because remember, the thesis statement is your backbone. That is going to drive the whole paper. And so I don't really know what this kid's going to write about. Something about we make choices, but I don't know why. So a thesis statement is pretty important. So let's look at another one. Helping another person with a difficult task is a great thing to do. However, most of us are too busy with our lives to take time for others. Even though it is easier to mind our own business, it is honorable and caring when a person goes out of his way to help another person. Not bad. Okay, so now we know there's a little bit more to this. So it's got an interesting introduction with a clear thesis statement. We know what to expect in this essay. So we know that even though it is easier to mind our own business, it is honorable and it is caring when a person goes out of their way to help another person. So we can go ahead and assume that the first body paragraph is going to be about how it's honorable. Second paragraph is going to be how it's caring. All right, let's get another. Sometimes helping others matters more than one's personal gain. Although people work to benefit themselves, they should always put others first. People should be more concerned about helping others than themselves because it's the right thing to do and is the best thing for our society. Okay, so the question is it good? Yep. All right, we know that the thesis statement is good right there. We know that the first reason is going to be about how it's the right thing to do, first body paragraph. Second body paragraph, it's going to be how it's the best for our society. All right, why should people put the others before themselves? Why should they, who don't have everything they want but don't necessarily need in their life, stop for someone else less fortunate? I hope you said that wasn't the best one. We have no idea what the thesis statement is, and it's all rhetorical questions, so we don't really know what's going on here. It's just a lot of questions, so kind of leads us with some of our own questions. Okay, so the entire introduction is important, but thesis statements guide the entire essay. If you don't have a thesis statement, it will lack focus, organization, and depth. So first thing you have to do is you have to actually understand the prompt. So we'll be working on that throughout the next 6 weeks here. So here's the next part that we did. It's partner planning. So there's a thesis generator, and I'll put this on Canvas so that you can get your hands on it. And with the thesis generator, there are several prompts in the first column. So go ahead and read each prompt and then have a subject or a focus of the prompt. So you're going to form a question and then write 2 answers to the question, and that's going to be your reason 1 and reason 2. And then craft an entire thesis statement using the subject and 2 reasons. Choose one prompt and create a full outline on the backside where you expand your 2 reasons, and then hand that in to me. Now, in class, we are going to for sure get to these parts. The choosing the one outline, we might have to put that on to the next class period, but if you are doing this at home, you go ahead and do it just in case, so that if nothing else, you'll be ahead. All right, so if you have any questions, come on in the morning and I'll talk you through it. Thank you.